of the Council's YouTube channel during the recording of the meeting will not be monitored by the Council. All mobile devices should be switched off or set to silent so that the meeting is not interrupted by ringtones. Please can you also on your profile switch it to mute unless you are speaking. The procedure for each item, the planning officer will present their report to the committee members and they will be able to ask questions of clarification. The planning officer will then read out any written statements received from the members of the public on any particular item. The meeting will then be adjourned to enable those who have given notice that they wish to address the committee on a particular application to do so. Each person will be invited to join the meeting via Zoom and will have 3 minutes to give their views. Once all comments have been given, the meeting will be reconvened for the members of the committee to discuss the application and reach a decision. Thank you. Okay, do we have any apologies for absence?
There are no apologies for absence.
Thank you. Councillors, any declarations of interest? No. Okay, minutes from the last meeting. Can I ask whether or not we view these as a true record? I'd ask members to turn back on their microphones and I'll come to you one at a time for the vote. Councillor McGeorge.
For.
Councillor Darren.
For.
Councillor Turner.
For.
Councillor Morris.
Breathe them.
And Councillor Rimmer.
For.
Okay, with that, and Councillor Kettle.
For.
Thank you. And with that, we've passed the minutes from the last meeting. Thank you. We now move on to item agenda 4, which you can find on pages 3 to 15 of your agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. The proposal before you, if you could go on to the next slide, please, whoever's doing it. Thank you. The proposal is in respect of the change of use of the premises to a mixed use for residential and as a Buddhist meditation centre with one public meditation event per month with visitor parking, meditation huts and statuary, but also includes alterations to the access arrangements to Harding Elms Road. The application is retrospective with the initial use of the site commencing in 2013. Temporary consent was granted for the mixed use in 2015, but has since expired. Further application in 2016 was refused permission, having regard to issues of inadequate sewage arrangements to cope with the public meditation events. These sewage issues have subsequently been resolved, and the current application is for the continued use of the continued mixed use on a permanent basis. If I go to the next slide, please. Thank you. The site comprises 1.5 hectares of land at the junction of Hardings Elm Road and Oak Road, comprising 2 existing dwellings fronting Hardings Elm Road. That's Oakley, which is sometimes also known as Dharma Land, and Deancroft. It's also got large gardens to the rear, where an existing single-storey outbuilding is located, and statuary and meditation huts have been constructed. I think from the aerial photograph you can quite clearly make out the position of the site. Immediately to the north of the application site is a commercial nursery, the Elms Nursery, with new residential development. You can see they're just underway to the south on the former Belvedere site, and next door to that is a golf driving range. To the east in Oak Road, the site abuts the Sheeling, a residential property with a range of large outbuildings. Okay, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. The existing properties, which are shown sort of hatched, I suppose, and aged red on the sort of western end of the site, or the left-hand side of the plan, which are the residential units, are occupied by the resident monks at the site, whilst the monthly meditation events take place in the outbuilding, which is also shown hatched, but further to the right and south or bottom of the picture there, I give you just about says building number 3, although the typing is very, very small on that rectangular building there. So that's where the actual public meditation events take place. The meditation huts are located along the eastern boundary, as you can see there, and scattered across the site. Probably showed up actually better on the aerial view. Is a range of statuary. Parking areas have been created in front of the 2 dwellings adjacent to Hardings Elm Road, at the rear of Deancroft, which is the topmost of the 2 dwellings, and adjacent to the existing outbuilding used for the public meditation events. And there are existing vehicular access points from both Hardings Elm Road and Oak Road. If I could have the next slide, please. Okay, on this one, obviously here you can see this is just sort of 2 street views of Hardings Elm Road. You can see on the top one there, that's looking towards the junction with the A129, and you can see the sort of the first of the 2 main access points onto the site. The existing fence is proposed to be moved as part of this application because it's actually sited on highway land, and the Highway Authority have required that to be moved as part of the permission. And then the view to the bottom is looking the other way, so that's looking south up Hardings Elms Road, and you can see there the bungalow is Deancroft, and the larger 2-storey house is Dharmaland or Oakley, and you can see the other of the 2 accesses in use. There are 2 other access points between those, which the Highway Authority have asked to be permanently closed off. They're not actually very clear on the ground because that fence has been in place a number of years, but there are sort of dropped curbs there, which the Highway Authority require to be reinstated, so that the access points just are cut down to just 2 and can't be increased to any more than that in the future. If I could, next slide, please. And these 2 views are in Oak Road, which is a more minor, narrow road running east to west from Hardings Elm Road. The top view shows the existing access onto Oak Road from the site, and the building you can just see behind that is the outbuilding, the existing outbuilding that is being used for the public meditation events once a month. The access point itself is more recent than the others, but being onto an unclassified road did not require planning permission. And then the bottom view is looking the other way, so looking towards Hardings Elms Road or to the west. The black panelled section there is the access into the Sheelings actually at that point. But what you can see quite clearly there are 2 of the meditation huts within the site, which are close to the eastern boundary of the site. And if you could just move on to the next slide, please. And these photos are from within the site. The top left shows the area in front of the 2 residential properties. So the trees on your left there are those abutting Hardings Elm Road. So it shows the area of hard surfacing there for parking at the front of the site. And the others are just sort of 3 views within the site, just showing the sort of open grounds and the sort of the various sort of statuary that's been constructed within the site. It still remains pretty open in character with some very nice mature oak trees, but you can see the ponds and other things that have been erected there through the site. If you could move on to the final slide, please. Thank you. The location of the site is within the Greenbelt, and this is an important policy consideration. In this instance, it is considered the impact of the proposal on the Greenbelt openness is relatively small. The public meditation events take place in an existing building at the site, which is a type of reuse of existing buildings that can be appropriate within the Greenbelt. And albeit there's associated vehicle parking, which would impact to a degree on openness, the limited nature of the proposed use and number of days that the vehicles will be present on site would significantly reduce any potential detrimental impact. The statuary and the small meditation huts do comprise new built development within the Greenbelt, but are a very small scale and really not significantly different to the types of development within the Greenbelt that might be put up within a residential curtilage without even needing planning permission. I mean, indeed, the statuary in this case, most of it's slightly dubious whether it needs it. It's sort of because it's a mixed use. It's trying to draw that line between the existing residential use and the meditation use. If they're there purely for the monks, for meditation purposes, then I think most of those would be of a size that they wouldn't have actually required permission. But the mixed use makes that slightly more difficult to sort of draw a dividing line. In terms of the character of the area and neighbouring amenity, the site retains an open, fairly residential character with higher levels of activity limited to just 12 days a year, the impact of which on amenity would be conditioned by restricting the number of days and number of hours. The site lies within an area of fairly mixed character, as you can see from the aerial photograph, with both residential and commercial properties nearby. In terms of highways and parking, access is gained from Hardings, Elms Road and Oak Road, and a minimum of 23 vehicle parking spaces can be provided on site for both the residential and public meditation uses. This is in excess of current vehicle parking standards, which are based obviously 2 spaces for each of the residential properties, and then in terms of floor space, in terms of the building being used for religious purposes. Some improvements are required by the highway authority to the accesses onto Hardings Elms Road, but otherwise no highway objections have been raised to the access points or the parking. And the highway authority has confirmed that no accidents have been logged in the past 3 years associated with the site. Details of neighbour and consultee responses are set out in the report. In addition, in response to a reconsultation exercise that members will recall that we undertook, a further 2 responses received from local residents raising similar concerns to those that were put to us originally, mainly on highways and parking grounds. A response has also been received from Parish Councillor Macpherson Davis in support of the proposals. And the additional responses are referenced in the addendum sheet, which I hope you've all received. So it's considered that the mixed use of the site for residential use and as a Buddhist meditation centre, holding once monthly public meditation meetings within an existing building at the site is acceptable and would not have materially detrimental impact on the openness of the Greenbelt or appear out of character in the area. Total number of visitors at the public meditation events would to a degree be naturally limited by holding the meetings within an existing building of limited capacity. And the parking arrangements at the site would meet the necessary parking standards. Subject to the resiting the existing fence clear of the highway and limiting the number of access points onto Hardings Elm Road, the highway authorities have raised no objections to the proposals. The limited nature of the public use of the site and installation of a new foul water treatment system would ensure that no material harm to the residential amenities of neighbouring occupiers would occur. So as such, we are recommending that planning permission is granted, subject to a number of conditions to sort of control both the nature and intensity of the sort of the non-residential element of the development, and these are found at the end of the report. But also there's a slight update to the conditions which you can find on the update sheet. One of the conditions has been replaced. We were originally intending to limit the use by granting it to the benefit of the organisation who run the site, but on further discussions with our legal team, it's been felt that a more appropriate manner in dealing with this is to restrict the use as opposed to actually making it to a particular person. Additionally, we're proposing to slightly adjust the conditions relating to the public meditation events. There was actually an error in the hours shown on it. It should have been 8 till 6, and it was said 7 till 6 on the original conditions. And in addition, we perhaps thought it would be sort of wise to retain a limit on the number of attendees at the site at any particular time, and so the conditions have sort of been widened out to incorporate that element. Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I'd now like to open it up to councillors if anyone has any points of clarification, questions. Councillor Rimmer.
Yeah, thank you. I'm It's just regarding the meditation huts, Chair. I just wanted to ask in respect to that, obviously, how they seem to be temporary in nature. And I'm obviously aware in greenbelt land where we have existing structures that often gives further permission later down the road to convert them into something else. And I'm just worried about that and thinking, is there any possibility of putting a condition on the meditation huts as well, in respect of any sort of new buildings being built on that footprint in the greenbelt?
Mr. Spears, do you want to come back on that, please?
Yep, sorry, I was just trying to find my unmute button, which I've now done. Yeah, we've suggested, I think, a condition there that says that the hut should remain incidental to the enjoyment of the dwelling houses. So in other words, they should only be used by the monks as opposed to the general public at the events. But yeah, I certainly take Councillor Rimmer's point that, yeah, obviously I've said in my report that obviously the nature of the site means that there is potentially the opportunity of other buildings to be erected. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't put a condition on there to restrict permitted development rights. It always gets a bit complicated when you've got a mixed use site as to what's being built under one sort of under residential or what's non-residential. If it's non-residential, then I think it would be covered anyway. But if members felt it was worthwhile, we could certainly take away permitted development rights for Class E buildings. I'll let you make your judgment on that.
Sorry, Mrs. Lyons, do you want to come in on that, please? I'm not sure.
Councillor Rimmer, that is a very good suggestion. I think what we should do is we should put additional condition that requires we've put a condition that the permission's granted only for the meditation centre. Should that use cease, the buildings have to be removed. That removes your concern that they don't gain any permitted for PDL issues, because this is a mixed use site, not residential site. So I think you are probably quite right there. It's in the green belt district, so yeah. So we can add another condition on to deal with the removal of those should the CU cease. Thank you very much, Councillor Rimmer.
Does that alleviate your concerns, Councillor Rimmer?
Oh yes, it does. Thank you, Chair.
Does anybody else have any points of clarification? Okay, with that, I will adjourn our, so that we can take members of the public who wish to speak on this matter. My list of who is the speakers has not come through. Could you please therefore read the speaker? Thank you.
Yes, I've got Cheryl Redwin wishing to address the committee. She's in the meeting.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, Cheryl Redwing. Yeah, you will have 3 minutes. When they should be able to see the countdown. When you've got 30 seconds to go, I'll just remind you that it's time to wrap up and you've got that 30 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, hello, my name is Cheryl Redwin and I'm here in support of the planning application for Dharma Land for the change of use to a mixed use as a Buddhist meditation centre. As you're aware, mental health and mental health wellbeing are more important than ever in our society, even more so during this COVID epidemic when people are feeling isolated, afraid for the future and are really struggling mentally. It's in my view that the meditation sessions conducted at Dharma Land present us with great benefits. More and more people than ever need help and guidance and are trying to move into more natural methods of self-help, meditation being one of these methods. Meditation helps to train the mind to remain calm even in stressful situations, promote emotional positivity. It would also help the whole local community to deal with mental health issues and to manage work-related stress and other issues such as anxiety. It also helps us to manage other matters such as self-harm, dementia, and family issues that are associated with mental health. I've been attending and being part of the meditation sessions over the last few years and would like to express my support as a member of the society and a local resident. On a more personal level, my family and I had great cause to look for more personal help from the centre when my husband and father to my 3 children passed away September 2019. Following our loss, they have given us unwavering support and have been helping us with our own mental health and come to terms with our loss. We didn't have to wait for an appointment like you would with a doctor or a clinic, and they've been there with an open door whenever we have needed them, and they continue to do so. I'd also like to say that the centre will probably help to take some of the pressure off the NHS. As I said, you don't need to make appointments, they're there and waving with their support. I hope you take these points into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Kemi, do we have our next member of the public, please?
I'm admitting Mr. Peter Adams. Mr. Connecting.
Thank you.
Peter Adams. Hello, Peter.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Adams, you'll have 3 minutes, and you'll be able to see a timer that the officer will hold up for you. When you get 30 seconds to go, I'll just give you a reminder to start to wind up. Thank you.
Okay. I have regularly attended meditation sessions at Dharmaland with my mother as well sometimes for several years now. I think it's a great idea to officially recognise Dharmaland as a Buddhist meditation centre. I would like to express my support for this aim as a local resident. I live about 3 miles away in Wickford and first went to visit Dharmaland about 6 or 7 years ago to learn more about Buddhism and meditation, as I already had an interest. I now regularly go to visit Dharmaland. The monks have always been most welcoming and most kind to me. Sometimes I take them some food to eat, as they are not allowed to handle money, so can't just go down the shops. They teach us meditation and about Buddhism in general. I think meditation and the Buddhist principles are very beneficial to people's mental health, well-being, and to society as a whole.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I've finished, sorry.
Okay, then thank you. If you could go to, you could leave the meeting room. Thank you.
Have we got the next?
Yes, he's joining, and that's Sampath Kumara.
Thank you.
Sampath?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're now in the meeting room, and if you could address the committee. Got 3 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, the chairman and the other councillors. I would like to highlight a few things on behalf of the applicant in support for this application. First of all, we are pleased to see that our application has been put forward to the committee for consideration today, because it has taken a few years for us to get here with all the delays we had. So we would like to highlight a few facts to the committee today. This application is not for a new development or not for a new build as such, and is only for a change of use of an existing building, and is for a once a month meditation event. And it's been great benefit for a local society to have a place to meditate and a suitable premises as we go. So it always helps improving mental well-being and mental health, and for the betterment of the society, especially given the current circumstances. It is evident from the number of supporting letters, the benefit received by the locals and the general public, and also those who have spoken at the committee today. So we've held free meditation programs at local schools, hospitals, some councils, buildings, and the country parks, such as Water Centre over the years. The details of them have already been forwarded to planning officer for references. The applicant wishes to work with the council and the councillors in future to hold free meditation programs remotely and in local council avenues when the current situations get better, and serve more to the general public. So the applicants also wishes to raise the awareness of the mental health across the county and guide general public on mindfulness and meditation trainings. So therefore, on behalf of the applicant, I would like to request the committee to take all these points into consideration when taking the decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry, do we have the next speaker? Do we have any furthers?
Yes, we've got a Hashika De Silva, but there is someone else in the waiting room with a different name, so I can't tell if that's the person. So I could just try to let them in and ask if that's the person. If not, I take them out. Is that
Thank you.
okay? Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hello? Is that Ashika De Silva?
Yes, it is. Hello, can you see me now?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you.
You've got 3 minutes to address the committee, and my
Yes.
colleague will be holding up the timer. Okay.
Right, shall I start now?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Miss De Silva. I am a resident in Basildon since 2008, a housewife, a mother, and a qualified solicitor. Thumberland presents me with great benefits to deal with stress, anxiety, and mental well-being. It is a place of quiet, an oasis of calm and serenity, where the Dhamma teachings and meditation are practiced in earnest. As a family, we have frequently attended the meditation sessions conducted by Dhammaland and managed to overcome obstacles and live in peace and harmony. I have also observed persons of different races and religions attend some of these sessions, and it is amazing to observe how community harmony exists within such solitude. My husband works as a pediatrician at the Basildon Hospital, and I have personally experienced the benefits he has gained by attending these meditation sessions, both in his professional and personal life. Having attended the meditation sessions for over 8 years, I would like to express my support as a resident and a member of the society. I do hope you will consider these aspects when considering the planning application. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you may now leave the meeting and listen to the proceedings on the YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do we have any other members of the public wishing to speak? No.
That was just 4 of them. That was all. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll reconvene the meeting. Okay. Do we have any statements that need to be read out, Kemi?
Stuart?
Do you have any statements that need to be read out?
No, the additional comments that we received from third parties are in either in the report or the update sheet. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Spears. Okay, with that, I will start to ask councillors if anybody wishes to speak on this item. Councillor Morris?
Before we start discussing it, I wonder if it'd be possible for one of the officers perhaps to just let us know how much weight should be placed on what our members of the public have said. I mean, they all speak very well of what happens at Dharmaland, but just how much planning weight should be placed on it. Thank you.
Mr. Spears, do you want to come back on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the social benefits of the proposed use are a consideration because obviously they form part of the of any planning consideration, but they are one part. I mean, obviously you still have to look at the other impacts that perhaps I've described in more detail in my report. But I think the social benefits, the improvements to community cohesion, these are all matters which obviously planning is trying to uphold and improve. So they are valid considerations, but they're valid considerations amongst other considerations.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Councillor Morris? Sorry, Councillor Morris, I don't know if you replied to that. Are you okay with that response?
Sorry, I did nod, but the answer to your question is yes.
Sorry, my screen keeps freezing. Sorry. Councillor Rimmer, you wanted wishing to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd say that the officers have put together a good report, the update sheet with the conditions that they attached, especially in respect of restricting the number of attendees, addresses a concern that I had in the technical briefing about parking on the once monthly events. I think it would be churlish of me to suggest that there needed a further condition on that. It seems to be resolved as far as I'm concerned. I think the condition that has been suggested by the head of planning today as well in respect to removal of the meditation huts, if it was with a change of use, I think that's a sensible condition as well. One reflective comment I got was in respect of the equality aspect that was brought out in the report. It mentioned all of the protected characteristics in the Equalities Act and then stated that it has a positive impact. And it's obvious to us what the characteristic it was addressing, which was religion, I assume, but it may be better to actually spell that out as well in the report. But today, I think the members of the public have actually reflected on that too, and as well as the social benefit. So I will be voting for this along with the officer recommendation.
Any other councillor wishing to speak on this item? Oh, yeah, Councillor Foster. If you could unmute yourself, sorry, Councillor Foster. Thank you.
Right, that's probably better. Yeah, I think it's a very acceptable application, and I think it is a great step towards trying to get a greater understanding and move towards a little bit more harmony and flexibility among the cultures, which is actually part of the drive within the NPPF. I've got I don't know, a couple of questions or things that I thought, which is it is as it is in the green belt, and to comply with the highways moving this fence, it looks as though they're going to have to take down some trees which aren't of any major significance, but could they be asked to replace those with by planting further trees? I mean, it is in the green belt, we are looking to plant trees, so it would seem a reasonable request. And the other thing is, I actually managed to drive past there the other night, a brief exit from the house. I was allowed that after dark. And I did notice that there was a reasonable light from lanterns and things, which individually wasn't a great amount, but it is quite a rural area, and I thought the amount of light in certain areas was quite noticeable. I don't know if that would really affect anything within the rural area. I mean, I know quite often we are asked to subdue lighting and that in rural areas because of bats and other creatures. I don't know if there's an answer from Mr. Spears for that.
Mr. Spears, did you want to come into that, please? Thank you.
Certainly on the first point, yeah, there's certainly no reason why we couldn't seek to obtain replanting for any trees that are lost. Yes, I think as Councillor Foster says, the existing trees, I think they lay landi, to be honest, so they're not something of great ecological value. And if they were able to plant maybe some native species or something, if they were taken out, I mean, obviously, if they retained them, then I think that would be a different matter. But we could certainly condition that replanting of any trees lost, something along those lines as a condition, if that was felt worthwhile. Obviously the hedges, the fence is going to have to be replaced along that frontage, so that's something we can look at. In terms of lighting, that's obviously a lot more difficult because most lighting on existing properties doesn't actually require planning permission, so it's very difficult to control. Obviously these are existing lights on existing buildings. I think in that particular area it would be very difficult to justify restricting these particular properties.
Thank you, Ms. Spears. Does that answer your questions, Councillor Foster?
Yes, thank you, fully, thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to speak? Well, in that case, I'll take this to a vote. If you could all please unmute yourselves, ready to vote, please. Thank you. And I'll come to you at a time. I vote in favour of the recommendation, which can be found on page 4 of your agenda. The conditions are found on page 13 and 14, plus the conditions that were on the update sheet, plus the amended condition. Sorry, Head of Legal, sorry, you have your hand raised.
Hello, yes. Just in terms of the additional conditions, you were just going through them, but the note I have is that I think we have got potentially another 2 additional conditions. So one is about the meditation huts to be removed if the permitted use ceases. And the second one, Stuart was just talking about a condition about replanting of trees. Are both of those going to be taken forward as part of the recommendation or added to the recommendation?
We'll be looking for a landscaping scheme, Councillor Brown. So it'd be yeah, quite right, quite right. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes, they will be added. I was just sort of going through my list of what we've got added. Yes, so this evening, obviously, we've had the conditions as outlined and the replanting scheme. So those are all the conditions that we're attaching to this. And as I said, I will be voting in favour. Councillor McGeorge.
In favour.
Councillor Adierin.
In favour.
Councillor Morris.
In favour.
Councillor Rimmer.
In favour.
And Councillor Turner.
Against.
And Councillor Kettle.
In favour.
Thank you. And with that, planning permission is granted. I'd now like to move on to item agenda, our supplementary item agenda. I believe that is
We've got item 5. We've got item 5, the planning appeals and enforcement update.
You want to do that before we do the additional?
Yes, so that we can stop the recording and take it off YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, planning agenda appeals and enforcement update. Hopefully you've all had the opportunity to look at that. And that's for noting.
Yeah.
Thank you. We can now move on to item agenda 6. Well, the new item agenda 6, which was sent to you, which is the removal of the public from the meeting in order to consider a part 2 item. I vote in favour. If you'd like to take off your microphones, I can come through to you individually to take the vote. Councillor McGeorge.
In favour.
Councillor Adierin.
In favour.
Councillor Rimmer.
In favour.
Councillor Morris.
In favour.
Councillor Turner.
In favour.
And Councillor Kettle.
In favour.
Okay, with that, we will end the recording and take the final part of the meeting out from the public realm. Thank you.